Imagine finding out that you have a dreadful disease. We'll call it disease X. No, we won't call it disease X, just a dreadful disease, right? And imagine that night before you go to bed, you say your prayers, and then you make a wish. You say, I want to wake up and I want this nightmare to have never happened, right? You can almost picture that in a movie. Maybe somebody throws a quarter into a wishing well and he makes a wish that he could go back, right? In a movie, he wakes up and he's 12 years old again and he's, able to go back and fix what was wronged, right? But obviously that doesn't happen in this simulation. I wake up this morning and I go to a place called the Core Institute to see a shoulder specialist, right? And I go in there and we start chatting, me and the specialist. And I say, so about a month ago, I get this pain in my right shoulder. Just wake up to it one day. I almost felt like I was in a dream and maybe got in a fight and somebody literally broke my arm or something. That's how weird and intense the pain was, right? And he goes, okay. And I go, so luckily my doctor got me in on a Saturday, ordered me up some x-rays. The following weekend, I was able once again on a Saturday to go get my x-rays done. And then yesterday, my doctor's office calls me and they proceed to tell me that I have osteoarthritis. And he stops me and he shakes his head. He says, no, you don't have osteoarthritis. You have tendonitis. You're fine. And it was the best freaking answer. Made me feel like I instantly reverse aged 3 to 5 years, right? This thing was making me feel like I was 20 years older, and now I'm feeling like I'm younger than my age again, just hanging off of this specialist's words. He proceeds to show me what he thinks my doctor thought was arthritis. But he goes, this might have just been some trauma you had when you were younger, because I was explaining to him that when I played football once in Pop Warner, believe it or not, your boy was the quarterback. They thought that I would grow to be 6'3", 225 pounds, but it never happened, right? But anyway, I got sacked in practice once when I was 12 years old, and it hurt my arm, but it only hurt my arm temporarily. And so I was telling him, is there a chance that this little injury I had when I was 12 could have done this? And he goes, I don't know, right? I don't even know why I mentioned that, but either way, I was totally happy. But there's more to this story. About 20 years ago, I had a toothache, found out I had a cavity, right? So I go to the dentist across the street. I've always kind of lived in this area, even when I lived in other parts of this area. And I went to the dentist across the street, which is still my dentist, by the way, but it's a different owner, slightly different company. But either way, I go there and they proceed to tell me that I have 23 cavities. 23. I didn't even see anything but the one, right? But they're telling me I have 23 cavities. Anyway, they asked me if they want them to go ahead and fix all of them. They quote me thousands of dollars to fix all of them, right? And I basically gave them the old, hey, I'm kind of broke. Can we just fix this one that's killing me right now? And thankfully, they didn't pressure me and they just let me fix the one. Handful of years later, this was probably like 5 years ago, I have another cavity. This time, it's up at the top. I go back to my friendly neighborhood dentist, find out that they're owned by a different company, right? Go and get the x-rays done. She proceeds to show me my cavity on the tooth that's hurting, right? And she goes, let's get that fixed up. And I go, what happened to my other 22 cavities? She goes, 20 what? What the heck are you talking about? And I proceed to tell her how the previous dentist, like 15 years ago, told me I had 23 cavities. And she proceeded to just shake her head and say, you must have heard wrong or something. But I'm telling you, you don't forget something like that. It makes me feel like it was all about money, because it very well could have been, right? Now, fast forward to my current doctor. My current doctor is one of these guys that he's very young, and I had to get a surgery to repair a cyst by my tailbone. I know you're thinking, Jesse, that's TMI, but I've already told you guys before. Instead of sending me to a top-notch surgeon, because I asked him, hey, do you have somebody that you know is good that you can recommend? Sure, no problem, right? He sends me to this guy. I'm about to literally sign my life away so this guy can do this surgery on my tailbone, mind you. And then I decide last minute, I'm gonna look up this guy's reviews. I don't wanna ever have a specialist deal with me without me at least looking up their reviews, right? As far as like surgeries and stuff. Anyway, make a long story short, I find out that this guy has more 0 and 1-star reviews than 4 and 5-star reviews, and his 4 and 5-star reviews looked totally fake. Just people coming in saying what a great guy he was, right? Didn't really talk too much about what he fixed on them. And so I got scared and I canceled my appointment with him. And I actually called my previous surgeon that did my double hernia out in Chandler. And I ended up having him do my surgery, and I'm glad I did, because I feel like if they do 1 or 2 surgeries with you and they have a ton of satisfied customers, that you're probably making a smarter decision than to just go with any average Joe surgeon. Do you guys agree? Anyway, that was a negative check mark in my doctor's box of trust, right? How are you going to send me to literally the world's worst surgeon when I'm asking you to send me to the best surgeon possible, right? So that was really disappointing. But imagine this, I get a phone call from my doctor because he gets my x-rays, and he proceeds to tell me, and it wasn't him, by the way, it was his assistant, and she proceeds to tell me, the doctor wanted me to let you know that it looks like you have osteoarthritis in your shoulder. We want you to go to the Core Institute to talk to a specialist. So I go down there, and the specialist, if you would have seen the way he shakes his head like this is obviously not arthritis, and he showed me how smooth the cup looked that held my, my arm bone in there in the shoulder. And it just looks smooth. He goes, normally this would look like this, this, and this, and he described mayhem. He goes, yours looks really clean in there. You don't have arthritis. I think you just have some tendonitis, or maybe you have a little tear of a tendon or something. Let's go ahead and get you a cortisone shot. This should get better over the next couple weeks. I mean, he literally said I didn't even have to give up doing push-ups or weights or anything, but I think I'm still gonna wimp out and just kind of be gentle with it, right, to see if this works. But he goes, this is gonna work. And you can just tell when you're talking to somebody with more confidence. Why are you mentioning this, Jesse? Because I'm thinking that I need to get a new doctor. Don't you guys agree? Your doctor lets you down once, no big deal, but if he lets you down twice, it really makes you wonder, does this guy know what the hell he's doing? I know that when you're new, it's called a practice because technically you're learning your profession. But it's a little scary when the guy practicing on me is always wrong with his guesses, right? That's a little freaky. So I'm thinking it might be smart to go another direction. Speaking of another direction, yesterday I'm talking about the Orange Man like he's Oz from The Wizard of Oz. And then all of a sudden today, you got people on the left talking about, well, maybe this looks like insider trading, right? And look at the stock market is sliding back down again. So I have one thing to say to all of you about that. I'm not a stock market guy. I'm just the guy that walks around the block with you and talks. Moving on. If you can't trust the car dealership that sells you a car not to rip you off, and you can't trust the mechanic that fixes your car not to rip you off, and you can't trust the dentist that's working on your teeth not to rip you off, and even the doctor, Jesse, what does this have to do with your doctor? Well, for all I know, he might get money for referring me to other specialists. But if the other specialist, I mean, technically speaking, my doctor should have been able to tell me, you don't have arthritis. He could have still sent me to the core to see what I was dealing with. But my God, why the heck did he even have to throw his 2 cents in and tell me I had this lifelong disease? Holy shit. So yesterday was a little bit of not a scary day, because I realize we get old, right? We age, things don't stay new forever. There's wear and tear, right? I understand that. But still, who wants to deal with that crap forever? Now, I have a situation where I feel like I've been given a new chance. Hey, how's it going? Good. So back to what I was saying earlier when we first started. Could you imagine if every time you went to bed and something bad happened, you just kind of wished that it didn't, and then you woke up the next day and your wish actually happened? That is super cool, don't you guys think? Super, super cool. I even asked him. I said, should I switch arms and start carrying it with the left and whatever? He goes, I really think you're going to be completely fine. Come back in 6 weeks if and only if you're having problems. He goes, I think that this shot I'm giving you is going to make it where over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's going to get better and better. And by the time 6, 7 weeks rolls around, I just think it'll be gone and you'll be fine. He goes, but just in case, if you need to make another appointment with us, do. And then what we'll do is we'll see if you have any tears are in there, you know, to see if there's something more than just the strain or tinnitus, which is, you know, seems reasonable. So the specialist makes me go from an 8 on the worry scale down to a 2, right? My doctor makes me go from a 0 up to an 8.9. Crazy. Dr. Parker, you're out of there. I'm not even giving you 3 strikes. 2 strikes and you're out. If any of you guys have ever had a really weird situation with a dentist or a doctor that you felt was either ripping you off or just it wasn't very good, let me know. By the way, my doctor before this, one of my favorite doctors, was a Canadian guy named Dr. Turner. And you know what he told me about Canada? And this was 20 years ago, mind you, so it might be different now. He goes, all Canada's best doctors practice in America. He goes, you don't want to be on those lists up there. You can wait forever for shit to get done in Canada and for stuff to get approved. I was watching this one video the other day on TikTok, and they were discussing this girl in Canada. She really needs to get these tests done so that she can either get on with her chemo treatments or something else. And this one particular test, she has to wait 6 to 12 months before she can even get it. And this is one of those things where on her video, she's describing it like, there's a timetable here. I need to get these things done in like a month. I need to get them done now. And imagine your country that you live in making you wait 6 to 12 months. It's crazy. By the way, I love Canada. I don't want you guys to think I don't. I just think that yes, I want everybody to have not free healthcare, healthcare. I want everyone to have healthcare. There's no such thing as free. Even these countries where they tell you it's free, 2/3 of their check gets taken in taxes. Does that sound like free to you? I want everyone to have good healthcare when they need it. I just wish we could come up with a better plan than looking at these socialistic countries like Canada and Germany and all these other places and saying, let's copy their model. Because the people that live there don't think that their model is perfect by any means. So I'm not arguing with you guys. What I'm saying is we need to have leaders that think of better ways. By the way, I told you guys this the other day and I saw it again. Canada, France, Germany, the UK, the average citizen there is poorer than the citizens of Mississippi. Is that a little crazy? Whenever we talk about the bottom states in the country, we always talk about Arizona and Mississippi. We just do when it comes to education, teen birth rates, poverty, right? We talk about Arizona and we talk about Mississippi. Arizona might no longer be at the bottom, but it's still in the bottom half, I suppose. Mississippi has been in the bottom 5 ever since I can remember. So for these other places, these other countries, for us to look at them and say, that's the model we need to copy, when all the people that live there would be the equivalent of the poorest folks in this country, that obviously is a recipe for disaster. There has to be a better way. We have to find a way to get greed and shit out of our life when it comes to our medicine and our health. But I just don't think you can say, hey, let's copy their plan. Their plan is the obvious winner. Because I don't know about you, but some of these ailments that we get, time is of the essence, right? How many times have you heard that if they catch your cancers, you know how they have that one service where you can take a poop in a box and mail it, and they'll actually test you for like colorectal cancer? Those things are things that are designed, let's catch this fast, let's take care of this while it's early, because if we do, your odds of success go astronomically higher. Well, in these other countries, I don't know if that's possible. By the way, if you live in these other countries and you know I'm wrong, let me know. But considering I only have 25 or 30 people that watch, I don't expect to hear from you. But I mean, that is something that I want you guys to think about. We have a real weird way in this country of always looking at other countries and saying, why can't we have that? When all those other countries look at us and they say, why can't we be like them? Minus our crime. That's why I can't stand our crime too. Not only is it one of those things where you don't want it to affect you, but crime is embarrassing. You should be able to go anywhere you want in this country or in this world and not have to worry about people attacking you, hurting you, stealing you, deleting you, unaliving you. You shouldn't have to worry about any of that. So that's another thing that I think we should work on. How can we get everybody health care that is excellent? And how at the same time can we make everybody's life safer? Because who cares if healthcare is great if people can just pull the plug on you whenever they want, right? By the way, when I went to this Core Institute, it looked like an MVD in there. Imagine a bunch of people with bum knees and bum shoulders. Ah, I'm in pain. Help me. Get to the chopper, right? You have all these miserable looking people in there, and it looked like the MVD, they were just clocking payments, making money like crazy. And that's why I started thinking, my God, are they offering my doctor money for referring me to them? Because my insurance, I'm gonna have to end up paying for these visits ultimately. What's your copay, Jesse? It doesn't work like that. I have one of these insurances where you pay the max before your insurance kicks in. It's strategic. I used to do that because I never got sick, never went to the hospital. But now that I'm pushing 50, I'm always getting sick. I'm always going to the hospital. Thank God I walk. I firmly believe that if I wouldn't have walked, I might not have had that good news. That's why I want you guys to walk. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day. I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Have a good night.